What's your thoughts on government cover-ups or covert societies attempting to control humanity? Do you believe in ancient astronauts, intergalactic communication, or extraterrestrial visitations? Ever had an experience with disembodied spirits or the paranormal universe? Are these subjects fact or fiction? Each week, Tony and Eddie explore these unbelievable realities and beyond. Exclusively on Truth Be Told.
Hello and welcome to Truth Be Told with Tony and Eddie, where we believe in experience becomes truth. I'm your host, Tony Sweet, and joining me now in studio is world-renowned psychic Eddie Connor.
Thank you, Tony, and hi, everybody. Our next guest is all about intuitive therapy, emotional healing, and spiritual transformation. And guess what? She's clearly on a mission to help our listeners and viewers get to the absolute feeling essence of inner peace. So let me ask you this. What would it be like to feel confident, whole, and grounded in all of your choices? To feel completely at peace with yourself? Or, Tony, can you even imagine a life without fear?
Well, I hope so, but yes, I can now. But we have Sabrina Heartsong, who is a world-renowned spiritual intuitive guide, teacher, and speaker with an amazing gift for facilitating self-awareness. She has been guiding clients to realizing themselves as powerful beings.
She has for a long time. Sabrina has dedicated her life to empowering and uplifting humanity and assisting people to discover and live in their truth, to manifest their dreams, and to find lasting fulfillment. She's done this for the past decade, both privately and in workshops and retreats all around the world. Well, if you want to learn more, simply go to sabrinaheartsong.com. But for now, we're privileged to have her right here on Truth Be Told with Tony and Eddie. So everybody, please put your hands together and welcome the phenomenal Sabrina Heartsong.
Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
Well, first of all, I have to say you are gorgeous. I mean, gorgeous.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Well, Eddie, I'm going to go ahead and let you just take the first stab at it.
Fantastic.
The question.
Okay, so I want to know, first of all, to help somebody achieve inner peace, I'm only basing this on knowing Tony Sweet.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
And sometimes when I'm around Tony, it's very hard for me to achieve inner peace.
Hey, I'm right here.
So I'm dying to know what opened up inside of your heart and inside of your beingness that made you want to help people get to the essence of inner peace, how to achieve inner peace. So what was this jump off point for you, Sabrina?
That's a great question. Thank you. Well, I mean, the work that I do and everything that I teach is really just a byproduct of my own personal transformation. So, I mean, you don't just wake up one day and decide that you want to facilitate inner peace with other people without having to having to go
every day
through the process yourself, right? And so, I'm very, very much a byproduct of the work, and it's something that I had to implement in my own life in order to be able to feel at peace with myself. I have in a previous life, before I started working with people one-on-one, I was in the corporate world for over a decade, and I was, I had done everything I thought I was supposed to do. I had accomplished a certain level of success, and I had accumulated lots of things, and I felt very dissatisfied with myself and ultimately disconnected with who I was. And I think it's important for people to get to a place in their life where, and I've seen this over and over again in my work with clients, where people realize that they've done everything that they thought they were supposed to do. They've exhausted all avenues, and there's really nowhere left to look but within. And that's the place that I got to, and it was a significant emotional bottom for me. And I immersed myself in spiritual inner work. I didn't have a guide per se myself at the time. However, I very much went through the experience that I was supposed to go through in order to be able to piece together all of the elements that I think are beneficial to facilitating really the most favorable conditions for people to get to that place of inner peace.
Well, Well, you know what? I have to say this because you look like your name sounds.
Heartsong.
Because it's very lyrical and fluid and poetic, and there's this
Thank
wonderful
you.
little effervescence energy. It ain't little effervescence; it's big old faithful effervescence energy. And you have a question?
Well, I had a question because
Yeah.
at 46 now, and when I think my late 30s is when I really started finding my life path.
Right.
But up to that point, I also worked in corporate, and then I worked as a first personal trainer. But many of those years, and I'm asking because I'm sure there's many people out there that are feeling this right now, and
Sure.
going through those years, was there always that underlying voice that said, "This is not what you're supposed to do"? I mean, even though we don't know what we didn't know it at the time what we were supposed to do, but did you have that voice that constantly spoke to you?
Absolutely. I always had a sense that something was missing, or that there was something, my life was meant for bigger things, or I was meant to, there was more to life than what I was currently experiencing. And I was meant to experience that somehow. So that for sure was definitely, a pull that I had throughout. And I think most people do. In fact, I would assert that all human beings have that sort of inner calling. It's so subtle, and you have to be really, you got to be paying attention for it, and I think a lot of us are desensitized from that. And so a great place to look is just in general how you feel. If you're feeling disconnected, or you're feeling dissatisfied, or there's that, pull for something more, chances are you should be doing something more. You should be living something more. The current life that you are experiencing is really not the path for you.
Well, how do you make that determination? And you hear, especially in Los Angeles
or anywhere,
but especially though here, of finding the path that you're meant to be fulfilled, or the path that you feel like you want to live up to somebody else, either's expectations or somebody else's successes.
Yeah. Well, I think the first step really is to let go of everything that you've ever been taught and ever been told about who you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to do, and just set aside all of that early childhood conditioning and programming and pressure from external sources, and really just learn to follow your heart. In my personal experience, of really just and I'm a byproduct of this. This is exactly the transition that I did in my own life. I just kind of surrendered everything that I had set up for myself, and then started to just follow what brought me joy and listen to my heart, and that allowed for me to that set me on a trajectory of taking one step after the other that just unfolded a path that was super organic and super joyful. It wasn't always easy, but in following my joy, I was able to create a path that I absolutely love, feeling plugged into my purpose, feeling at peace with myself, and a path of abundance in all areas. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I didn't mean to interrupt you. There is a truly great quote, and I know it's so applicable here, and that is, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Absolutely.
And the moment you have the experiences, what you and Tony are speaking about, and I think of it as a feeling. There's some kind of a feeling that washes over you and that moves through you. And that feeling is part of the knowing. That feeling is part of the inner guidance system for me. That feeling is the thing that's moving you to the inner peace, or I feel like the inner joy that, Sabrina, you're talking about. And when you have just little tiny morsels of that after you've come out of a train wreck situation, it feels almost like not only the light at the end of the tunnel, it's the mirage you see in the desert, but it's real. It's not illusionary. And then that one little taste, that one little touch, that one little feeling, there's something about that's the straw that breaks the camel's back, as it were.
Absolutely. And for everyone that has, as you're saying, everyone has that feeling, and that is the most important thing that we can listen to. If we can learn to sort of transcend our beliefs or what we were told or what we think we should do, and just kind of follow that feeling, which takes faith, right? It takes faith, and it takes you got to get to a point in your life when it becomes more important to you to follow that feeling and to experience happiness than it is really just to have anything else, right? When that becomes the most important thing in life, then that creates an opening, and people are ready for that next transformational leap.
Oh, I love that. And so this is my philosophy. And so you can school me, Sabrina, okay? My philosophy is based on what Tony was saying earlier. My background, without going into any great detail, is growing up really, really poor. So all of the first jobs I got were, poverty kind of jobs. And I knew that there was something in me that was moving me toward more. So whether I was working at Taco Bell, have you ever cut a 10-pound block of cheese with a wire? I mean,
I myself, no.
Sabrina's like, no, I'm vegan.
I'm actually not, but I empathize with your cheese cutting experience.
With my cheese cutting experience. I was a teenager. I was a hot mess. I was doing that, and I was working in a textile mill, and then I was working in another fast food place. And then it goes from that to loading some trucks, and then working in the wonderful world of retail, not pretty people, and then doing inventory control, and then shoveling some poo-poo. And then from there, I started to kind of wake up a little bit, and then I was attracting choreography positions, dance positions, design positions.
That's a big switch.
It was a big switch, but it's like I started following this sort of thing inside of me. But where I'm going with it is now I've been doing intuitive readings for almost 25 years. That's been my purpose, but it's also been my profession. At the exact same time, every block of cheese I cut, every truck I loaded, every poo-poo shovelful that I shoveled, every single one of those things I did before this has set me up in a really grounded, balanced way, A, to appreciate it, and B, to empathize. I think we often go through the hard knocks and the awful things as facilitators. And then when we get to the other side of it, I feel like then people who come to us, people who come to you, they're able to feel that you empathize, you sympathize. Absolutely. There's a compassion, a mercy for what they're going through, and they can feel you help them help themselves.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And in fact, I always know that the people that are drawn to my work, because we're energetic beings, right? And so like attracts like. And so if someone is attracted to me and the work that I do, it's really because, they're clearing or needing to clear or work through something that I can assist them with because I've lived through it. And that's so important to follow that sense of, who you feel resonates for you, because there's so many, people doing intuitive work and spiritual healing, and there's so many different modalities, and they're all good and valid if they're, obviously, when people are attracted to them, you're attracted to this particular type of work for a reason, right? And because there is a message there for you. And so, it's so beautiful to be able to take all of our life experiences, as you said, growing up as a child and all the different things you had to go through and all those patterns of belief that you had to clear about yourself in order to get where you are. Everyone that's drawn to your message is someone who, chances are has to take those steps in their life in order to achieve inner peace, in order to feel connected to self.
Wow, you are so grounded. And centered and aligned, and you just sparkle when you talk.
Oh, well, thank you.
You do.
Thank you so much.
So,
it's really the gold mandala behind me that's doing all the sparkling. I'm just sitting in front of it.
So if you're just tuning in, you're listening to Truth Be Told with Tony and Eddie. I am Eddie Connor.
And I'm Tony Sweet.
And we are speaking with Sabrina Heartsong, and we have a question from the chat room from one of the listeners. This is from Kathleen, and she says, I'm still looking for my purpose in life. I feel a little lost, and I have no idea where to go next. How would you help her come into clarity with that, Sabrina?
Okay, I love this question. I get this question all the time. This is from my heart to Kathleen, is it?
Yes.
And to anyone who's listening and struggling with this question, let me take the pressure off you. From my personal experience, my belief is the only purpose that we all have. Everyone has the same one, and that's only one purpose, and that is simply to awaken to the fact that you are a pure, whole, perfect, and complete expression of source energy. That is your only purpose.
Please say it. Please say it one more time for the people in the back of the church.
Pay attention back there. Pay attention.
Your only purpose is to simply awaken to the fact that you're already whole, perfect, and complete exactly as you are. And once we can have the direct experience of that from that place of awareness, whatever you decide to do as far as an activity or a job or a role or a service on the planet during this human incarnation is really contingent upon your own heart's desire to serve. Whatever brings you joy. And the thing that I like to say to people to guide them really is whatever is your genius is also your joy. Whatever is your joy is also your genius. So the thing that makes you the happiest is really what you're supposed to be doing on the planet. And so I think for a lot of people, it's a matter of, they get caught up in, well, how can I afford to live? Or how am I going to make money doing that? Or,
Right.
they think about automatically the conditioning is to go to the limiting belief of how can I sustain myself doing what brings me joy? Because in our society, most people do what they think they have to do, and then they take time off or vacation time to go do what brings them joy, right? When it's backwards. So we should be doing what brings us joy, and then, allowing the abundance to flow from that.
Well,
It's just a matter of changing that mindset.
that is so brilliant. For me, it's a mindset. It's a heart set too. But let me tell you what you triggered for me. And don't you love that Kathleen asked that question?
Oh,
now?
it's a great
I really
question.
do. It's a great question.
A great question.
Well, what I realized is when I was loading the trucks, I was still the intuitive kind of humorous smartass. Whenever I was cutting 10-pound blocks of cheese and trying to stay away from the 25-pound pinto bean pressure cooker, trying not to get pinto bean marks on myself because one blew up. I was also instinctual, intuitive, and creative. I also, in all of those things that I was just going to get by whenever I was death gnawing on a cracker, I was always at that time still doing what I'm doing today. So it's like the two worlds were coming together. So I'm doing what I have to do to survive, yet I am also sometimes not consistently paying attention to what my heart and my inner guidance is driving me towards. So I don't have to be miserable just because I'm working a job I don't like. I get to do what you're helping facilitate, and that I was connecting with an inner peace that brought me joy even when I was serving people a cheese burrito, okay?
Well, Sabrina, can I ask you a question?
Of course, yes.
So here was my thought as when I started again finding my purpose. That really.
What's your purpose, Tony?
Let's change that. Let's change finding our purpose to waking up.
Perfect.
Let's
Well, then
just change that.
when I
that takes the pressure off.
when I was awoken, when I woke up, but I always felt that up until that point, I think when I say God, universe, allowed it to happen, or I allowed it to happen because they knew I could handle it. They knew I could accept the opportunity, the challenge, the meaning in life, where I think before that I couldn't have. And
Who's they? Who's the they that you're referring
universe? I mean, the universe or God, whatever you
Inner
want to call it,
being.
inner being. But I just feel because up to that point, I don't know if I could have handled owning my own business or going on a reality show or all that stuff.
It's like what Eddie said earlier. When the student is ready, everything appears, right? And so ultimately, in my interpretation, you are part of source energy. That's not a separate thing, and it's just a matter of you being able to step into that readiness and have the direct experience of yourself as, a joyful person or a person who has now an insight about which direction has more meaning and value to you, that feels more fulfilling to you. And there's no wrong choice, when you're sitting down to really think about and really feel into what brings you joy and what could be something that you could contribute to the world as far as a service that eventually you could charge money for and put all those systems in place. It's just about there's no wrong choice. It's really just about following that intuition and allowing that intuition to guide you. And maybe you stumble the first few times and, we try different things, but all these different, attempts create an opening and teach us about who we are. And that's the beauty of it. That's the whole journey right there, is learning to explore and expand, and grow as conscious beings when we're allowing love and joy to direct our path.
Well, and newsflash, I don't know about anybody here that's listening, but I don't necessarily want to work beside of somebody who's never felt broken, who's never started something
right.
they wanted and it didn't work out. Warren Buffett won't even go into business with somebody unless they filed bankruptcy 2 or 3 times, so that they go through the stages and they don't repeat that history.
Right.
And so I love failing. I love learning from it. And I love working with people who aren't afraid to fail. That's exciting to me. Now, which leads me to this. Now, you all about helping people achieve inner peace. Now, it sounds like a gigantic tall order for me for this reason, which I know you can do it because I know you, child. How often, because most of us are struggling in our minds, most of us struggle from day to day with our jobs and that sort of thing. So when you start helping people get to the inner peace, I am really curious to know how many times do your clients sometimes try to buck the inner peace when it starts tippy-toeing into their consciousness, or do they sometimes push against it and not even know that they are?
So the question is, where do people get stuck? Where do people get hung up on in the process of learning how to tap into inner peace?
Yes, they get stuck doing it. So, but then when you get them to the place where they are experiencing some inner peace, because I'm assuming it's unfamiliar for them, do they sort of jump back away from it like it's a snake on the path going to the woodshed?
That's an interesting question. It's, you know what? I really, really, really feel in my heart that the people that do this work are really ready for that heart opening, you know? And so when that happens, you know, sometimes people can it feels a little unfamiliar, especially if we're conditioned to feeling like we need to struggle, or we're conditioned to feeling like, you know, what we're used to is chaos, because obviously that was a reflection of our childhood environment. And so that's what feels normal to us. When you introduce the direct experience of inner peace, it can seem like quite a contrast. And for, I would say 90% of the time, there's a huge wave of relief that washes over the being that is having this direct experience, probably for the first time in their lives. And that's a beautiful thing. I mean, there's just so much release that happens. There's a flood of tears usually. There's, you know, just a complete appreciation and gratitude for that direct experience. And it's just, all it takes is one little taste of it. Just one little taste of that inner peace, and nothing less than that will ever satisfy. You know, from there,
it's like a Pringle.
Yeah, exactly. A little more powerful than a Pringle, I'd like to think. I think you've got the right idea.
It's like a Dorito.
You know,
I can't eat just one.
That's a
just,
potato chip.
You know, and just a little bit of it. And then, you know, all of a sudden, you know, people are in and they sign up and they're committed to developing a spiritual practice, and they want more of that experience. And, well, how do I get more of this? You know, and that's when we know that there's really been an awakening. Right?
Wow. Speaking of awakenings, can you describe your experience facilitating inner peace for people?
Sure. Well, first of all, I mean, I just love human beings. I love them. And I really relate to all human beings as whole, perfect, and complete. And so when I'm talking to someone, regardless of their story or their resistance, or, you know, whatever their situation is, to me, all beings are perfect expressions of source energy. And so I relate to them as such. And I think it's in aligning with that aspect of who they are that allows them to sort of tap into that experience of themselves for the first time. And so, you know, some people will, in the beginning, will you know, they'll fight me. You know, I can tell that I'm talking to the ego. I'm talking to all of their conditioning, all of their programming. Yeah, but, you know, what is this for? Why am I doing this? This doesn't make sense. Or, you know, I give out a lot of exercises when I work with people one-on-one. And so people will, you know, what shows up is, you know, whatever patterns they play out in the rest of their lives, you know? And so whatever's blocking them in life is usually what shows up in the sessions and what shows up in the process. And that's what there is to disarm. And the best way to disarm that is just to love people unconditionally and to just be a stand for their transformation and hold that space and to encourage them. And obviously I can relate because I'm human. I've been through this process, you know, multiple times. So I know what some of the resistances are, and I know how challenging it can be. And so I share experiences from my own personal life and some of the things that I do to help me through things. And that makes it, all of a sudden now there's a human connection that gets created, and people feel supported. supported throughout the process, and they feel encouraged. And, I'm happy to report that, 95% of people that work with me, stay the course, and they finish the program, and they experience profound transformation.
That's pretty high percentage. That's great.
It is. It's fun. First of all, we're going to have to take a break. So if you're just tuning in, you're listening to Truth Be Told with Tony and Eddie. I'm Eddie Connor.
I'm Tony Sweet.
And we have Sabrina Heartsong with us. You can find her at sabrinaheartsong.com. And we're going to take a really quick commercial break. We're going to tune into little whole tones between now and the time we come back and get to speak with Sabrina again. When you come back, I want to find out, why is it so important for people to learn how to be at peace with themselves? We'll be right back.
Time for a pee break. Be right back. You suffer from anxiety, from depression, maybe even chronic pain? Well, listen up. Truth Be Told is going to tell you about a breakthrough program built on over 100 years of therapies used in America's returning veterans to help you successfully overcome PTSD, anxiety attacks, pain, and depression. The secret proven in study after study. Music therapy. The effects of music are nothing short of amazing. From strokes to PTSD, music has been shown to improve the quality of life. Now, one of the latest music therapy programs being used in America's veteran hospitals can be yours to experience for free at home and to help your own anxiety attacks, pain, and depression. Or just relax after a hard day. It's called Whole Tones. It takes music therapy to a new level. This revolutionary program makes use of specifically designed frequencies that have been shown to stimulate your body's natural healing power down to a cellular level. If it works for battle-scarred vets, can it work for you? Well, experience it for yourself for free at sweetwholetones.com. Like Tony Sweet, that's SWEET. Go to sweetwholetones.com. Now enjoy the show.
And welcome back to Truth Be Told with Tony and Eddie. I am Eddie Connor.
And I am Tony Sweet.
And we have the radiant, gorgeous, giver goddess, petite flower princess, uplifter, nurturer, facilitator of well-being, Sabrina Heartsong with us. And before we went to our really quick commercial break, we asked Sabrina, why is it so important for people to learn how to be at peace with themselves? Besides, you don't want to smack people just for fun.
I kind of do.
Definitely not. I think it's so important. I think it's so important for people to learn to be at peace with themselves, because our inner state always reflects our outer circumstances, right? And so whatever's happening for us internally is usually what we're creating on the external plane in life, in our relationships, in our, at work, whether it's relationship with finances or career or whatever the level of circumstances is, and that's why I really discourage people to deal with their lives at the level of circumstances, because it's just a Band-Aid, right? And so when we deal with the core inner being and arrive at that level of peace, which is, achieving inner peace is not something that we create. It's not something that we make up or impose upon our beingness. It's actually the essence of who we are. So it's not about, adding to, it's really simply about removing and taking away everything that doesn't serve us, whether that's, early childhood conditioning and limiting beliefs, whatever lives in our subconscious in terms of negative programming, cleaning all of that out, where once we do that work, all that's left is inner peace. So essentially, I facilitate people, getting to the core essence of who they are, which is very natural to them.
Wow. So I'm going to say two words: deservability and earnability.
Okay.
How do those two adjectives factor into why some clients may block their peace and not know it? Earnability and deservability.
Yeah, those are limiting beliefs. That's it, it all boils down to, I'd like to put those two words together in terms of worthiness, right? Oh. And so people feel like they have to earn love, because that's how we were conditioned in our, early childhood experience, through our parents, through no fault of their own. Right. They feel like they have to earn love, or they have to earn a reward, or they have to earn an experience of feeling joyful. This is how we train our children. And this is what, this is how human beings operate is, if I do this, then I get to be happy. If I do that, then I get to experience joy. Or if I do this, I get to experience peace, right? And so everybody deserves to feel at peace, because it's our right as beings. It's our right as beings to experience our authentic self-expression. And my belief is our authentic self-expression is a peaceful one.
Well, so
Well, I have a question because what popped into my head, and I think again, there's a lot of people out there that might be going through this, where they start feeling, the awakening from within, but the people that are around them start, resentful to. Because it's just breaking the pattern where they don't want the pattern to be broken. So if it's a husband or family that are not liking this new person,
because they're taking care of themselves first.
How do you help those people through that? Because there's a lot of people, I know a lot of people like that. It's like, I don't want change.
That's why Tony got a restraining order.
But you're still here.
I think so many people enter into, especially unconscious relationship, so many people enter into these unconscious agreements that go like, I promise to let you stay asleep if you promise never to wake me up, And so, you know what I mean? And then it's just like, there's this unconscious partnership where we're just playing out our codependent, dynamics that we learned in our early childhood, in our early family experience. And when people, individuals through, a whole set of experiences that we've already touched upon in the show, get to a point where they're like, okay, there's got to be something more. I really want to work on myself. I really want to get clear on who I am. I want to let go of resentment and all of this stuff that's blocking me. And, and when they start on this journey, it's very much an individual path, And so if you're in relationship and, and I work with a lot of people that are in relationship and, usually the wife has gone off and gone really spiritual and all of a sudden is, becoming conscious and she wants to, feel empowered and at peace with herself, and good for her because she's setting such an example for that energy, holding that space in her family. And usually what happens is, there's an upset in the apple cart because there's now an imbalance in the dynamic that's been consistent for so many years, right? And so, what needs to happen is, or what ideally should happen is the person that is assuming these taking responsibility for their well-being and expanding their consciousness and learning how to be at peace with themselves is transmitting such an energy that is so attractive that the partner says, wow, look at you. You look fantastic. There's something different about you and there's something glowing about you. And, I want a little bit more of what it is that you're doing. Right. And so because I firmly believe that peace as an energy is way more powerful than resentment or, anything that can be expressed in a codependent dynamic that really has no integrity, and so when usually I would say that most often that's the case where the partner says, wow, I want to learn a little bit more about what it is that you do. I can't even tell you how many wives I've worked with that have sent me their husbands. It's probably more often the case than not. And then there's obviously the opposite of that, which does happen sometimes. So I really would like to address it. If the partner says, well, I don't know who you are anymore and you're changing and, it's that person is not ready for that kind of awakening and would, is insisting on things staying the same. And so, as we evolve as human beings, we can only be in relationship with people that are kind of an energetic match for us. Right. And if we change our energy and the partner is not willing to evolve with us, what'll happen is this partnership will dissolve. These people kind of vibrate out of our experience. And if that's the case, it's usually not a painful thing. Because literally at the level of just energy, there's not an attraction anymore. There's not a draw anymore towards this particular being because you're not operating at the same level. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Totally.
And it also feels like that creates less drama, less chaos, less push-pull, less passive-aggressive behavior. And so I would think then if it is going to dissolve, it's going to dissolve more amicably and more in a vibration of love.
Absolutely. And I would say to anybody who's in relationship, if you want, and I know women do it, and I know men do it too, if you want your partner to jump on the consciousness train with you and get all spiritual and start to do workshops and want to read the books that you're reading and do the things that you're doing so that you can do it as a couple, the best way to make that lifestyle attractive is to be a demonstration of the results of that lifestyle, what that lifestyle is actually doing for you at the level of being. And there's got to be a shift, right? So if the same old person that you've been in relationship with is now just giving you a holistic list of to-do things and making it conditional that in order to be in a relationship with me, you have to do these things, that's never going to work. Right. But if the person who's had transformation, who's had the direct experience of inner peace, who's now coming from that place is, sharing from their personal experience why this is so wonderful, then it becomes an open invitation. It becomes an open invitation for that person to step into the possibilities of this work and what this work can do for them.
Oh, my goodness. Let me just tell you what's all going through my head right now because I'm all so happy and sparkly. Number one,
it's a sequence.
I wonder how many times your clients have left you after a session or 2 or 3, and then they come back and they say, all of my coworkers are asking who I'm having an affair with. All of my coworkers are asking me if I'm pregnant. All of my friends want to know what I'm doing. How many times do your clients come back and say, I'm so happy everyone thinks I'm doing something, but I'm just being connected?
Yeah, lots of people, everybody. That's a natural byproduct of this work. Everybody comes back and says, people say I look different. People say I look, because you do.
You do.
The first part of where I start with people and with everybody, and this is kind of like the entry point, is dealing with resentments. Dealing with resentments, cleaning that up. I mean, in my direct experience of having gone through this process, put myself through this process, forgiveness is really the key that opens all doors of higher consciousness and feelings of inner peace. And so that we start there, and that's the grunt work, is just getting rid of resentments and letting that stuff go, because that energy is so toxic. And when we hold on to resentments, it's not possible to have inner peace. The two of them can't exist together in the same consciousness.
And that's very true, because if you do try, I wrote a book called Kicking the Big Butt Syndrome. And for me, the butts are butradictions, and it's an acronym for believing unnecessary thoughts.
Yeah.
And believing unnecessary things. And so what a lot of people do in life is they talk about what they do want and don't want in the same breath, and they cancel each other out.
100%.
But there's a lot of efforting in butradictions. There's a lot of efforting in talking about what you do and don't want. There's an enormous amount of efforting and loving and worrying with somebody at the same time, because it's just paralyzing you and keeping you stuck in a place of lack of forgiveness.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think a lot of that is unconscious. I think that there's the subconscious experience where all of our limiting beliefs and all of that fun, negative stuff from our lives is sort of living there and programmed there. And then there's what we consciously want, and what we want to intend for our lives. And so when these two are not working together harmoniously, there's going to be conflict for sure.
And so how does having inner peace change one's lives, their circumstances, the community, and even the planet?
So as I mentioned, having inner peace really allows us, when we're able to live from that place, we transmit that energy. And when we transmit that energy, it impacts all of our life circumstances. So now I'm at peace. I'm someone who, let's say, for example, I'm someone who used to struggle with, her relationship with food, or used to struggle with her relationship with money, and used to struggle with, being able to be part of, romantic partnership, or being able to be part of a community environment. And rather than trying to work on these things again at the level of circumstances, I'm now going to take 100% responsibility for my own inner state, achieve inner peace. Now, just by turning the lights on inside and changing my vibration and really stepping into a place of coming from inner peace, all of these areas heal themselves. It's an automatic byproduct of stepping into that direct experience of inner peace. Now, it's easy for me now I'm at peace with my relationship with food, peace with my relationship with my finances and so on, because I have peace within. And so imagine if all beings everywhere made a decision to take 100% responsibility for the quality of their emotional state and chose to live peacefully. Not only would their lives transform into a peaceful existence, but we would have that across the planet. And this is just ripple effect that that would happen, which is ideal scenario, definitely what I'm standing for in this lifetime.
Well, and peace is, as I hear you articulate this, vibrationally speaking, peace is an ebb and flow energy. Peace is an electromagnetic energy that puts you at the right place at the right time with the right people in the right circumstances. Feeling that inner peace frequency is literally, it's putting you almost in a vortex. So
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
then, so you're going to attract, obviously, the peaceful people and the other things that come with it. Now, you're going to tell us a little bit in just a moment because we have literally, I can't believe we have 5
I
minutes
know.
left.
It's crazy. Goes fast.
It does. So we're going to ask you about your program on achieving inner peace, but I have 2 more questions for you. The first one is, what kind of results can people expect from working with Sabrina Heartsong?
Well, very simply put, people can expect to feel at peace with themselves. They can expect to have gained the tools that will allow them to continue to maintain, because as energetic beings, we're vibration, right? And so we ebb and flow. We have up days, we have down days, we have up moments and down moments. They will have learned the tools to be able to sustain a certain level of inner peace, and to be able to feel at peace with themselves and connected to the essence of who they are.
In one sentence, please describe your life before achieving inner peace and doing this work. And then in one sentence, describe your life today as a result of doing the work.
One sentence. You're doing that on purpose. I can't say it in one sentence.
Just don't put a period at the end.
Yeah,
Just
a
keep
comma.
going.
One sentence. My life before I would say I was afraid.
Oh.
Yeah, before
I was afraid.
doing this work, and after learning how to achieve inner peace for myself, I would say I am the source of everything wonderful and abundant, and that I choose to create for myself.
And the most fun thing about being intuitive is when someone speaks words while they feel the words they're speaking, and they marry the heaven and earth together in one vessel. That's what can make me teary-eyed.
Yeah,
And
me
that,
too.
And that's, and that's what you're doing. That's who you are, and we can feel it. And so how can people find out about your Achieving Inner Peace program? Look at us. We all like crying. Bring me a tissue, y'all. Oh, Lord.
Don't make me cry.
How can people find out about the course?
Yes.
They can go to. Well, I think you have a link for it that you can post. They can go to my website as well. On the front page of my website, there is. It just says learn about the course, Achieving Inner Peace. 30 Days to Freedom. It's a 4-week course.
Nice.
Where it's all basically video content. So it's me describing the process, speaking to you directly on video. And then there are handouts that people have to do. It's an experiential program. So the curriculum is very interactive. And every week there is a module that is sent to the participant in their inbox. So they have a week to practice their homework and to do all of the recommendations I make in the course in order to maximize the benefits of the program and to achieve desired results. So you can just go to SabrinaHeartsong.com, and on the front page there's the video, the promotional video for the course, and that you can just click on the link there, and that takes you to more information and where you can register.
That's great.
And for anyone who's just tuning in now, first of all, get with the program. Number 2, you can see why she's about intuitive therapy, emotional healing, spiritual transformation. And you really do look like your name, and you vibrate the frequency of what you facilitate for other people, Sabrina. And we appreciate that
We
so
sure
much.
do.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be on the show and to be able to share what I love most and to do it with you, the two of you, you're so much fun. So thank you so much.
Oh,
Well,
you're
thank
so
you.
welcome.
Yay.
I don't know about you, Tony, but I feel very peaceful right now.
I do. I can see it, Eddie. I can feel it. All right. Well, thank you so much,
Thank you
Sabrina.
so much. We appreciate you.
All right. We'll talk to you soon. All right.
You got it.
Bye.
All right, gentlemen and ladies out there, we are so honored to have our guest that we're on today. We hope you guys enjoyed it. We hope you guys learned something. That's what Truth Be Told is all about. We hope you guys take away some truth that maybe you go out and seek for yourself. Find what you need to find. And
What did you learn?
I learned.
Yeah, what'd you learn?
No, I learned I did learn that I am doing what I'm supposed to be doing because I'm feeling fulfilled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
What was the hesitation about?
Because I knew you would ask me what the hesitation was about.
What was the hesitation about?
Because I like to irritate you, Eddie.
You don't irritate me. I have inner peace. I am flowing with all my 7 chakras, child. Okay. He aggravates me.
Yeah, I do. I do.
I can't lie on international radio and be the spiritual being that I am.
I knew it.
Sometimes hanging out with Tony's like being behind a Prius in the fast lane.
Is that a good thing?
It is whenever I'm putting on my Sabrina Heartsong CD and I'm like tuning back in and achieving my inner peace. I don't know why I have to do that whenever I'm achieving inner peace.
Jesus. All right, we're out of here. Well, wait, we want to thank everybody that joined us. Sabrina, thank you so much. Go to sabrinaheartsong.com. Go to our website, truthbetoldwebtv.com. Check out our YouTube channel on iHeartRadio, iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn. Go to our host page right here on ubnradio.com. We appreciate you guys. Until then, we'll see you next week right here on UBN Radio.
That's right.
Bye, Eddie.
Bye.
Hey, thank you for listening to Truth Be Told with Tony and Eddie right here on Universal Broadcasting Network. Make sure you go to our iTunes page. Just type in Truth Be Told with Tony and Eddie. Listen to us on iHeartRadio. Again, Truth Be Told with Tony and Eddie. And go to our YouTube channel, subscribe, and please leave a comment. We'd love to hear from you. So please support our sponsors and make sure you listen to us every Friday right here on Universal Broadcasting Network from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Until then, have a good week.